Your heart is like a garden, divinely planted to bloom in abundance and beauty. Every act of love, every moment of giving, is a seed you sow into the lives of others. Yet, even the most vibrant gardens need care and replenishment. You've spent so much of your life watering others' fields, nurturing their dreams, and meeting their needs while leaving your own garden untended. Over time, the soil begins to dry, the roots weaken, and the harvest dwindles, not because of failure, but because even the strongest hearts can't give endlessly without being filled. You were created not just to give, but to thrive. To be a light in the world, yes, but also to honor and protect the vessel carrying that light, you. Somewhere along the way, you may have learned that your worth was tied to your sacrifice, that love meant setting your own needs aside. You told yourself that giving more would fill the gaps, that staying silent would keep the peace. But beloved, that's not what God asks of you. Scripture reminds us, love your neighbor as yourself. Mark 12:31. Not more than yourself, not instead of yourself. Recognizing the imbalance in your relationships doesn't mean you've failed or that others don't care. Often, it's simply that people have come to rely on your giving without realizing the cost. They've drawn from your wellspring, unaware that even wells need rain. But stepping back, setting boundaries, and prioritizing your own needs doesn't make you selfish. It makes you obedient to the one who calls you to live abundantly. This is your time to break the cycle, to reclaim the strength and grace God placed within you. It's not about rejecting your calling to love and nurture. It's about learning to do so without losing yourself. God's plan for you is not one of depletion, but of restoration. Let today be the moment you begin tending to your own garden, allowing it to flourish as He intended. Together, let's step into the fullness of who you were created to be, chosen, worthy, and deeply loved. If you feel the abundance of divine love in your heart, now is the time to share it. You can help spread God's blessings by clicking the Super Thank You button on YouTube and contributing $20 or more. This divine gift will touch not only your life, but the souls of many through this platform. Each of you has a sacred place in God's grand design, and your generosity will be the fruit of our prayers. Act now. Share your abundance to glorify His kingdom, for you were created to do even greater things in God's loving hands. May God bless you. Over time, your desires shrink into the background, buried beneath the weight of prioritizing others. It's a quiet ache you've reframed as selflessness, convincing yourself it's a virtuous way to live. But in rare moments of introspection, doubts creep in. You question whether this constant imbalance is what relationships should feel like. The steady drain on your emotional reserves begins to take its toll, leaving you worn and stretched thin. Gradually, you realize the issue isn't a lack of effort on your part, but rather a glaring absence of mutual care from those you hold dear. No amount of giving seems to bridge the gap or inspire change. This sobering truth starts to shift something within you, a faint yet resolute urge to step away from these patterns, to reclaim the parts of yourself that have been quietly fading away. Crossing paths with a manipulative partner is an experience that can feel thrilling, yet deeply unsettling. At first, their captivating personality draws you in like a moth to a flame. They seem to know exactly how to appeal to your emotions, presenting themselves as the answer to your unspoken desires. You feel uniquely understood, as if they've unlocked a part of you that's been hidden. Their attention is intoxicating, their words perfectly tailored to make you believe in their sincerity. Yet behind the allure lies a calculated intention. This partner isn't seeking mutual connection, but rather a means to control. They quickly identify your empathy and openness, viewing it as a gateway to serve their own motives. Every act of kindness, every gesture of affection, is part of a well-rehearsed strategy designed to tether you to them. Slowly, they create a web of dependence, ensuring their presence feels essential while keeping you emotionally ensnared. As time goes on, the manipulative partner's tactics become more apparent, yet they unfold with a subtlety that clouds your perception. They gradually begin twisting narratives, planting seeds of doubt that make you question your own judgment. When conflicts arise, they deftly sidestep accountability, leaving you burdened with guilt and uncertainty. This calculated strategy chips away at your confidence, fostering an environment where you feel compelled to shoulder blame to preserve harmony. Your natural empathy becomes the very tool they exploit, as you internalize their distortions and push yourself harder to maintain balance. All the while, they remain in control, quietly orchestrating the dynamic to suit their desires. They blur boundaries with precision, using guilt as a leash to keep you tethered. Over time, their manipulations deepen, painting the idea of leaving as an act of betrayal rather than self-preservation, ensuring their grasp tightens with each passing moment. As the relationship drags on, your identity begins to fade under the weight of manipulation. Slowly, you start to accept their version of reality, carrying the burden of blame and shame they so skillfully impose. Piece by piece, your self-assurance erodes, leaving behind a fragile shell of the person you once were. What once felt like a partnership reveals itself as a calculated effort to dominate and control. Their influence seeps into every corner of your life, subtly steering your choices, isolating you from support, and undermining your independence. Through constant critiques disguised as advice, dismissive remarks masked as humor, or relentless guilt trips, they tighten their hold. The divide between you and those who once provided grounding support grows wider as your connections fray under their manipulation. The isolation is no accident. It's the key to their strategy. With fewer people to turn to, their control deepens, leaving you feeling trapped and disconnected from the world you once knew. Your journey starts here. Subscribe now and let's create something extraordinary together. Within this space, you'll connect with others who faced the same hidden battles, endured the same struggles, and emerged from the wreckage with unshakable resolve. Together, we are reconstructing our identities, reconnecting with our inherent power, and releasing the heavy chains of our past. If you're ready to step boldly back into your light, to shed every trace of manipulation, and to find a network that truly sees you, this is your moment. We are reclaiming our joy, our strength, and the lives that were always ours to own. Let's stand together, empowered and united, as we rise toward becoming our fullest selves. Details await below. A moment arrives that changes everything, an instant of clarity that shakes the foundations of how you've lived. After years of placing others' needs above your own, of bending and breaking to keep the peace, you reach a pivotal realization. Sometimes it's one incident, a small yet profound moment, that becomes the spark. Suddenly, you see the pattern clearly. You've been pouring your energy into connections that leave you depleted, nurturing bonds that offer nothing in return. It's a sobering truth that forces you to confront beliefs long ingrained in you, ones that tied your value to self-sacrifice. At first, this awareness feels like betrayal, as though stepping away from these dynamics means abandoning the core of who you are. But as the dust settles, a different perspective takes root. You begin to understand that love and support aren't meant to be one-sided. Slowly, the weight of expectation lifts, replaced by a new conviction. You deserve relationships that reflect the care and value you give, where your worth is honored and your presence celebrated. A sudden wave of clarity prompts you to scrutinize your past relationships, unraveling the patterns that have kept you trapped in cycles of unbalanced connections. You start to recognize how you've gravitated toward individuals who exploit your compassion, turning your generosity into a tool for their own benefit. This realization stings, but it also unlocks a sense of liberation. You begin to dismantle the notion that love equates to endless sacrifice, understanding instead that genuine bonds thrive on reciprocity and respect. With this newfound insight, you decide to reclaim your space, to set firm boundaries that honor your worth. The choice is both empowering and daunting, stirring fears about how others might respond to your shift. You anticipate resistance, perhaps even rejection, for daring to prioritize yourself. Yet alongside these fears is a growing sense of relief, a lightness you haven't felt in years. By choosing to stand in your truth, you break free from the weight of expectation, finally stepping into a life where your needs matter just as much as anyone else's. Breaking away from the relentless pull of people-pleasing is a transformative path, demanding both bravery and persistence. You begin to test the waters of self-advocacy, learning to say no and holding firm to your boundaries even when discomfort creeps in. Slowly, you come to understand that valuing yourself is not an act of selfishness, but one of self-preservation. This paradigm shift reshapes how you view not only yourself, but also the dynamics that once defined your relationships. As you start to release the grip of draining connections, a newfound resilience takes root within you. The need to appease everyone fades, replaced by the empowering realization that your worth isn't tied to how much you give to those who undervalue you. With this clarity, you rediscover your own priorities, your dreams, your ambitions, and the people who truly bring meaning to your life. Though moments of fear and uncertainty arise, especially when letting go of bonds that once felt unbreakable, you sense that liberation lies just beyond these decisions. Each act of asserting your independence becomes a quiet revolution, a declaration of self-love that reinforces your courage to build a life that aligns with your true self. Stepping away isn't just about leaving behind harmful dynamics, it's about redefining how you perceive love, connection, and your own worth. You come to understand that genuine relationships aren't built on constant compromise, but on mutual respect, shared joy, and equal effort. This shift in perspective becomes your guiding light, helping you envision healthier, more fulfilling bonds ahead. Choosing to distance yourself from what no longer serves you marks the start of a transformative path, one centered on reclaiming your value and establishing boundaries. It's a new and unfamiliar journey, both liberating and daunting. Boundaries, once foreign, now become a tool for self-preservation rather than exclusion. Protecting your peace feels less like selfishness and more like a vital act of self-care. Saying no, an act that once felt impossible, starts to unlock a profound sense of freedom. Over time, you unlearn the belief that your worth is tied to how much you give to others. Each time you prioritize your well-being, you reaffirm that your value is intrinsic, unchanging, and deserving of respect. This realization empowers you to invest your energy in connections that nurture you, paving the way for a life where your needs hold the space they've always deserved. This newfound sense of self-worth transforms the way you navigate relationships. Where you once endured indifference or unkindness, you now hold firm to the expectation of mutual care and respect. You no longer give space to connections that exhaust you, understanding that authentic bonds are rooted in reciprocity and shared values. Manipulative behavior, guilt-driven tactics, or hollow assurances no longer have a place in your life. Instead, you choose relationships intentionally, based on their ability to uplift and honor you. This shift is profound, altering not only how you view others, but how you see yourself. You begin to recognize that your needs are just as important as anyone else's, and you treat yourself with the same compassion you've always offered to others. Self-care becomes more than a practice. It's a way of reclaiming your energy and joy. Activities that nourish your spirit take priority, and solitude becomes a source of peace rather than emptiness. Slowly, you let go of the need for external validation, finding fulfillment in your own growth, reflection, and inner strength. Your own approval becomes enough, and with that, a life of balance and genuine connection begins to unfold. Dear brothers and sisters, the peace of God be with you today. I am here to remind you of a profound truth. Our existence is grounded in God's divine plan, unshaken by the temporary concerns of the world. As the Bible says, whatever is done in faith will return to God in abundant blessing. Luke 6:38. Like that great oak tree, our roots are deeply rooted in God's universal truth. Every step we take, every stand we take, is secured by His strength. And now, you are being offered the opportunity to be part of that blessing. When you use the Super Thank You button and donate $100, this gesture will come back to you 100-fold in abundance. As you lay the foundation for new boundaries, resistance from certain people in your life is almost inevitable. Those who once benefited from your lack of limits may push back, questioning your motives or attempting to draw you back into familiar dynamics. Yet, you hold your ground, understanding that this step, though challenging, is necessary for your growth and emotional health. You come to accept that not everyone will grasp or endorse your choices, and you find a quiet strength in this acceptance. Setting boundaries isn't an act of closing yourself off. It's about creating space for relationships that are equitable and nurturing. With time, you notice that the energy in your life begins to shift. Instead of clinging to connections that drain you, you attract individuals who appreciate and respect the person you are becoming. These new relationships are rooted in mutual support, with people who inspire and encourage your journey. Surrounded by those who value your worth, you find a renewed sense of balance, allowing you to grow freely in an environment of genuine care and understanding. In this new chapter of your life, connections are no longer a drain on your spirit, but a source of genuine happiness and mutual respect. Relationships become places of balance, where both give and receive equally, and where your needs are valued just as much as anyone else's. This transformation isn't just about changing how you interact with others. It's a profound shift in how you see yourself. You begin to understand that honoring your boundaries is an expression of self-respect, a declaration that your well-being matters. Ready to take the first step toward greatness? Subscribe now and let's begin. Each line you draw reinforces your belief in your own worth, serving as a quiet affirmation that love and respect must flow both ways. This newfound clarity allows you to release the weight of others' expectations, freeing yourself from the constant tug-of-war between pleasing others and caring for yourself. As you embrace this freedom, you discover a peace you hadn't known was possible, a life where you feel whole, unburdened, and unapologetically yourself. This balance, this ability to prioritize your happiness, becomes the greatest act of love you've ever given yourself. As you deepen your commitment to honoring your worth and maintaining boundaries, a remarkable shift unfolds. A sense of autonomy begins to permeate every facet of your life. Choices that once felt dictated by the expectations or desires of others now come from within, guided by your own values and aspirations. You no longer seek validation from external sources. Instead, your confidence grows from the quiet assurance that you are living authentically. For the first time, you allow yourself to prioritize your ambitions, your happiness, and your well-being without guilt, discovering the profound joy that comes from living in alignment with your true self. Walking away from relationships that drained you is no longer just a decision, it's a transformation. The weight of others' demands, which once felt like an immovable anchor, has lifted, allowing you to move freely toward a life of your own making. This liberation touches every corner of your existence, empowering you to focus on growth, fulfillment, and purpose. As you shed the ties that once held you back, you step into a new chapter defined by clarity, resilience, and the freedom to pursue your dreams without compromise. This newfound independence is more than a change. It's a profound awakening to the life you were always meant to lead. One of the most remarkable shifts you experience is a sense of mental clarity that feels like a breath of fresh air. Free from the constant pressure to appease or cater to others, your thoughts become sharper, unclouded by guilt or manipulation. Decisions no longer feel like a tug-of-war between your desires and others' demands. They are now deliberate, aligned with your values and aspirations. This newfound focus touches every aspect of your life, propelling you forward with a renewed sense of purpose and direction. Emotionally, the steadiness you've long sought becomes your reality. The turbulence of unresolved conflicts and emotional exhaustion is replaced by calm. Each day begins with the comfort of knowing you are surrounded by people who respect and value you for who you are, not for what they can extract from you. This emotional equilibrium has a profound effect on your physical well-being too. The tension that once weighed on your body, manifesting as fatigue, restlessness, or even chronic ailments, gradually dissipates. As you step away from toxic connections, your energy returns, and you feel your vitality rekindled. This renewed vibrance isn't just about surviving, it's about thriving. With the burdens of the past lifted, you're finally able to embrace life fully, taking on challenges with enthusiasm and rediscovering the joy of simply being alive. You start to notice a profound shift in your financial independence. The subtle drains of toxic relationships, unreciprocated favors, financial strain, or the quiet siphoning of resources become a thing of the past. Now, you can channel your energy into decisions that prioritize your well-being and future. You invest in yourself, nurturing your ambitions and building a stable foundation for a life that reflects your dreams. As you let go of connections that once held you back, new doors begin to open. Without the weight of draining relationships, you create space for opportunities that align with your values. You attract individuals who inspire, motivate, and encourage you to push boundaries you once believed were unattainable. This transformation fills your life with optimism and abundance, unveiling paths you hadn't imagined. In your personal journey, a renewed sense of focus emerges. Freed from the constant demands of others, you find time to dive into passions and aspirations long set aside. Creativity flourishes, and activities that nourish your soul become central to your daily life. This emphasis on personal growth brings a sense of satisfaction that transcends any external validation, offering a fulfillment that is uniquely your own. Your transformation is undeniable, a radiance that commands attention from those who once overlooked your potential. The strength you've cultivated, long obscured by the weight of others' expectations, now shines with unmistakable clarity. You no longer seek approval from those who never truly valued you. Instead, you stand as your own source of validation, grounded in self-assurance and resilience. This journey is a reclamation, a powerful act of taking back your life, your voice, and your purpose. For the first time, you live for yourself, unburdened by the need to meet others' demands. The emotional space left behind by walking away reveals untapped potential, energy once stifled, now channeled into growth and opportunity. With each step forward, your confidence deepens, emboldened by experiences you once might have shied away from. People around you notice the transformation, the unwavering positivity, the lightness that now defines your presence. This change touches every corner of your life, propelling your ambitions, creative passions, and personal endeavors to new heights. The weight of manipulation no longer anchors you. Instead, you soar with clarity and direction. Those who underestimated your resolve are left stunned, grappling with the realization that their grip on you has shattered completely. The strength they failed to recognize has not only freed you, but has carried you to a place of thriving independence, a life that is richer, fuller, and more vibrant than ever before. The manipulator's surprise stems from their misplaced confidence, their assumption that they could always keep you tethered. They mistook your compassion for compliance, believing their calculated gestures and shallow promises would forever secure your loyalty. They saw your patience as an unending resource, something to exploit without consequence. But as they come face to face with your absence, the reality of their limitations becomes unavoidable. Their once effective tactics now fall flat, met with silence and unyielding resolve. In their desperation, they may attempt to draw you back, relying on the same strategies that once held power over you. Pleas for forgiveness, empty declarations of change, or even attempts to reignite old connections, all are met with the quiet certainty of someone who has moved on. Their methods, once so successful, are powerless against the strength you've cultivated. Now is the time to share God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube. You can contribute to His plan and be part of this divine mission with a donation of $100 or more. Every gift reflects God's generosity, and I believe it will come back to you exponentially, far beyond your expectations. Remember, His protection and blessings are on your every step and every donation. You become part of His divine plan. You are a strong, radiant being, unshakable as His mighty rock. Witness God's miracles, feel the fruits of your generosity in your soul, and illuminate the world with confidence and courage. Be blessed and let the light of the Lord guide your path. For the manipulator, this reckoning is jarring. They are left to confront the void left by their own actions, the emptiness of a dynamic they took for granted. Accustomed to taking without giving, they never imagined a world where you would step away completely. Now, forced to look inward, they grapple with the choices that led to this moment, realizing too late the damage they caused. The humbling weight of their own behavior leaves them questioning the illusions of control they once believed unshakable. The manipulator's sense of control was always an illusion, and your departure has shattered it completely. They believed their charm and tactics were unassailable, but now they face the uncomfortable truth that their power over you was never as solid as they assumed. Your decision to leave exposes the emptiness of their strategies, leaving them with a stark realization. Their carefully constructed facade has crumbled, and they are left grappling with the hollowness of their own behavior. This is your moment to rise. Subscribe now, and let's make it unforgettable. Your decision to walk away was not just an act of courage, but a declaration of your worth. Choosing yourself over the familiar, over manipulation, and over empty connections is a strength few dare to wield. It was not an easy path, but it was one that led to immense growth, a transformation that allowed you to step into a version of yourself unburdened and true. So here's to the journey you've taken, to the strength that carried you, and to the life of respect and genuine love that lies ahead. May this chapter remind you of your power, and may you never forget the self-worth you fought so hard to reclaim.